How are you guys doing? Happy Tuesday. We are back for another live training session. Thank you again for the flexibility last week. It was not a good week for Molly, but I'm feeling a lot better, feeling more like my old self every day. And again, thanks for being flexible. Thank you guys also, everybody who showed up or watched the replay to yesterday's Q&A call. It was a bit different because we had Russ on as a guest, so we went deeper into a few of your offers and avatars and targeting. That was fun. Thank you to everybody who showed up. And we will get the overflow list for that completed in the next few days. So if you're waiting for feedback, don't worry, a Loom video is coming to you guys. So as you know, it is now module 5, which is very exciting. This training is all about ad copy. I have about 100 slides, which is a lot because there are lots of examples and visuals that I need to show you and that will hopefully give you inspiration. So this might be one of the longer trainings, especially these first 6 to 7 where we're really talking about, the fundamentals and creating these marketing assets. Some of these trainings are just going to be longer than 90 minutes. So I'll try to keep it as concise as I can, but just wanted you guys to know. And just a few other housekeeping items. Of course, we have our Q&A call this Thursday. Joe will create a thread in the group after this call for you guys to submit any ad copy or targeting or offer stuff that you want us to look over. And also, in addition to this training call, because we just like to give you guys bonuses, don't feel like you have to go through everything. But if something really calls you, seems like it's on a topic that you need help with, or you're just an overachiever, these bonus trainings are here as just supplemental information and extra stuff that we want to give you guys. So this week we have 2 bonus trainings. The first one is actually a video that Danny and John shot last week. It's very similar to the 2019 TMTP overview video that's already in the bonus area, but it's actually about this launch that we use to launch this class that you guys are in. So it's the launch that you guys just experienced, the 2020 fall TMTP launch. And Danny and John go through, just a rundown of that launch, the ads that we ran, the numbers, how it was different from other launches that we've done before, because that was definitely the case in many ways. So especially if you guys are selling anything that's not e-commerce and physical products, definitely go through this, even if you don't do launches, because it's just a lot of content very specific to those of us not selling e-com. Well, we will also have a bonus training that is more specific to ad copy. And this is something that we did inside of Team Traffic with my friend Alex Catoni. She has a business called Copy Posse, and just lots of great info in there about the actual writing process and how to get copy down on paper, which I know can be tough for some people. I'm going to reference Alex a few times in this training. She's someone that I really respect, especially when it comes to teaching ad copy. So check her out on Instagram at Copy Posse, at Alex Catoni. I'll give you a few other links to some of her resources that I really enjoy too. But just for anybody that's looking for some extra assistance, she gives amazing free content on Instagram, YouTube. Her organic social presence is awesome. She just launched her Copy Posse Instagram earlier this year, and it's growing really fast because she's giving lots of great value first. So anyways, just a good case study, good person for you guys to look towards if you're wanting to go any deeper into the copy side of things. So John, is there anything extra that I forgot?
The only other thing I
Anything we
wanted
need
to
to
mention,
let people know?
so the only other thing I wanted to mention is that we also have a bonus training from Ezra that's a little bit older, but I definitely
I
think it's
forgot
still
that one.
worth including, where he shares
Yep.
some of his ad copy formulas. And I know some of those will be worked into what you're covering anyway, Molly. So that one is more supplemental. If you want to hear it more from the perspective of Ezra than Molly, could be a good additional resource. But that's something that we had on our schedule. So I still want to throw it in the mix just in case anyone
Yes.
was particularly excited for that one. But
Yep.
otherwise,
I forgot about that one, and some of it is reflected here, of course, because we do the same stuff and we work on similar projects, but Ezra just has a different perspective, and kind of goes through the different ads that he's written, more step by step in terms of the different, let's call it like pieces of the ad, which I think is cool. So that is worth going through if you have time. Sorry
and
for forgetting that one, Ez.
no, I think you're good. He will forgive you, I'm pretty sure. Uh, Julie just asked, will the bonus trainings be in the members area? So yes, just a reminder for everybody, we'll always talk about these bonus things. If you look at the schedule, there are several bonuses that'll get released. They will go into the module in the members area. So these will all be in module 5, the one for copy training, and you can find them in there. So anything you see reflected on the schedule or whatever, you can just find when you log in, along with the recordings from these call and the recordings from the Q&A. So you should be able to find most of that stuff pretty easily. Usually when Molly throws 1 or 2 extra videos in the mix, they'll go into the more generic bonus area. And anything that's topic specific will be kind of threaded beneath the section that actually has, the topic. So Alex's training will get put in the copy section, of course. So just a little overview if you guys had forgotten the, kind of the way the flow works for this.
All right, sounds good.
Otherwise, we should be good to go, Molly. I am excited for this training. I know you put a bunch of new formulas in here that I can't wait to see.
Yeah, lots of new examples too. So, okay, y'all, let's just tie this back to the 6-step media buying process that we use, whether we're building our very first campaign or whether we're running, hundreds of thousands of dollars in ad spend every month to scale. And obviously, this training has reflected these really essential steps, starting with the foundation and our front end offers. We kind of skipped over to campaign structure. Last week, we talked about the who in terms of avatar and targeting with Russ, and more to come on that. And now it's time to talk about the copy, so the actual written word. And this is where we're really digging into the ads and what they look like. And I know a lot of you guys have submitted ads already and wanted me to look over your copy and creative. And I can say that really 100% of the ads that I've seen so far, my best recommendation is to go through this training, to go through next week's training and really provide some optimization there, because they all need work, and ads are a constant work in process. I don't mean that to put you guys down in any way. I just mean that this is important, and this takes a significant amount of thinking into the psyche of the person that you're wanting to interrupt their day. That's what they're doing. They're scrolling through Facebook, they're scrolling through Instagram, and you are interrupting their day. They're not going and searching for a toy on Google or searching for new hair care products. They're simply going about their day on social media, and we are interrupting them. And to do so, first off, we need to know, we have to have an offer that people are interested in. Second off, we really have to know who we're speaking to, which we talked about last week. And now we need to be interesting, we need to be entertaining, and we need to say something that's very much going to catch their attention. And that's where the copy comes into play. And what's interesting is a lot of people sort of skip over the copy, write a line or two of, really direct response style copy, and move on to the creative. And there's just so much optimization, even every day in my Facebook and Instagram feed. I'm just constantly critiquing copy and really, really wishing that people spent more time on this area, because it's so important, and it does also inform the creative as we'll move into next week. So I have 4 quick rules for everybody, and just write these down so that when you're going to write your ad copy, or after you feel like you're done, at least with a first draft, always go back through these rules just to double check and make sure that you haven't broken one of these rules, because these are deal breakers, right? These are really the biggest mistakes that I see people making with ad copy. And the first, and we talked about this in the free boot camp, if you guys went through that, but it's really important. The first rule is not to look or sound like an ad. Pretty simple. We're wanting to do what is called native advertising. We want to look like an organic post that fits into the newsfeed. As soon as we look or sound like an ad, that triggers someone's brain to say, oh, this is an advertisement, I should continue to scroll, right? They're just looking to get me to part with some time or money. I'm going to keep scrolling. So if we look like an ad, if we have free in all caps, right? If we look and sound like an ad, we are going to alert that part of that person's brain that's making these decisions, and they're going to decide to keep scrolling. Versus if we're engaging with them like a friend, they're much more willing to stop and start to engage with our ad. And a lot of that does first start with someone actually reading what we have to say. So the first rule, do not look or sound like an ad. As you guys know, because of total value and the way that Facebook's algorithm works, social proof is one of the most important indicators, success indicators of are our ads successful? So Facebook is looking at social proof to say, are people enjoying this? Are they engaging with this ad? Is this copy and creative that people want to let their friends know about, that is entertaining enough that's getting them to comment? So think about, you've got to keep social proof in mind when you're writing ad copy, because if you look and sound like an ad, no one wants to engage with that. No one wants to share an ad, right? So social proof is queen here. And what generates comments, clicks, and shares? Of course, it's ads that don't look like ads, right? We are trained to not engage with ads. So it's important, and this is a mistake that I've already seen in the ads that have been submitted. When we sit down to write ad copy, we usually put this like professional copywriter hat on, and it makes it sound like an ad. So we really have to take that off, right? We have to take the marketing sounding words and ways of writing copy off. And we really need to sit down and tell ourselves, okay, Molly, write this like you would write to John or Danny or to a friend or to a colleague or to someone that I know that is this avatar. Or even imagine that I'm writing a post on my personal Facebook feed that's for friends and family. That is the mindset that you always need to be in when you're writing ad copy, or else it's going to look and sound like an ad. And we always have to keep in mind, guys, this is not about us, right? This is never about us, really. I mean, it's about us in terms of we're looking to grow businesses, make money, serve the world unselfishly, and profit. Of course, we do have goals, and this isn't just for fun. But when it gets to the ad side of things, we always have to have the consumer in mind, right? We need to literally enter the conversation in that person's brain. We need to be in that person's mind and their mindset as much as possible, versus talking about how great we are, talking about how great our product is. Because once we start talking about ourselves in that way, it sounds like an ad. And not that there aren't times that, of course, you're not going to talk about yourself or your product, but from the standpoint of how that's going to be a vehicle to get them to the place that they want to be, not from a place of, hey, I have the best green smoothie on the market. Here are all the amazing features of my smoothie. You should buy it, right? That's most of the ads that we're still seeing in 2020. Brands feel like they need to talk about how great they are or how great their product is, and it simply doesn't work. So always keep in mind that this is not about us, right? Not only do we need to take the professional copywriter hat off, not only do we need to get into this very friendly conversation mindset when we sit down to write, But we always need to keep in mind that this is about the consumer, and most of the words that you should be writing in your ad copy are about your avatar, right? And not actually about you or your product or service. So we've talked about this a bit, but keep in mind that the job of your ad is to get the click, not make the sale. So the job of your ad is not to get their attention, entertain them, educate them, make them feel good, and make the sale, right? That's not the job of your ad. That's the job of your landing page. So if you're trying to make the sale in your ad, it really starts to sound like an ad. So let your landing page do the selling, let your ad do the work of really getting the attention and getting the qualified click. Okay, rule number 3, and we've talked about this, and this sounds basic, but almost everyone here struggles with this, including me. And it's a constant reminder when I'm writing copy, and it's the idea of features versus benefits. And you guys have heard of this before, but it's really the concept of features, which, you know, if you are looking to buy a backpack, the features of that backpack are, you know, the material that it's made from, maybe how it's made, how durable it is, the size, anything that is describing sort of the quality and yeah, the features. That's the best way I can think of it. Like just what it is. If you were looking at it and describing what makes up that product, even if it's something you can't hold, those are the features. And those are things that most people, especially on coming from a social platform, don't really care about, right? What they care about are the benefits and what this means for them. And most of us are so caught in the features, right? The ad copy is about your amazing green smoothie, and then you tell us how easy it is to blend, all of the different fruits that are in the smoothie, you know, how long it lasts in the refrigerator, et cetera, et cetera. And you're just talking about yourself. You're just talking about how great the product is. I don't care about that. I'm not sure what that means for me as the consumer. I'm not going to stop. So this is a great image from brand.ing. They have a good Instagram page you guys all should follow. And I saw this on their Instagram and I thought it was so simple, but such an easy way to think about this. So when you're thinking about the iPod, right, the feature is storage for 1 GB of MP3s. Like this doesn't really mean anything to me. I mean, I know that that's, I guess, a good amount of storage, I think, but like, what does this really mean for my life? The benefit and the way to reposition this would be 1,000 songs in your pocket. And we could probably even come up with some better benefits than that. But look at the difference here, right? This is not eye-catching at all. This is simply a feature of the product. This is junk that we see all the time. This is an actual benefit of what this means for the end consumer. This is how we should always be thinking, whether it's ad copy for our ads, our landing pages. Obviously, on your product pages, there, you know, eventually becomes a time where you do need to talk about features, but so many of us are trying to lead with features, and it just makes us sound like an ad. So let's take TMTP, for example, right? The features is that this is a 16-week mentorship. We have 2 live trainings a week. We have, you know, X number of hours of content. There's no telling now because we keep adding more bonuses. You know, those are features of the program that, of course, you guys might be interested in. But what probably initially hooked you were the benefits, and the benefit of learn how to scale your business or learn how to scale someone else's business, learn or improve this skill set so that you can take on more clients, so that you can make more money, so that you can help other people. A benefit would definitely be having access to us so that we can give you direct feedback so that you can improve your work. Those are all benefits about you, right? And it's again so much less about how many calls we have and how many hours of content. Those are things that we've really talked about at the end of the sales webinars, right? And on the landing page, definitely not in the ads unless we were from a retargeting standpoint. And think about it from Boom too. I mean, the features would be the what we're using to create the makeup, which it's great ingredients. They're mostly organic. We don't do any testing on animals, and those things are important. Those are important features, but they're not the marketing message that we lead with, right? We lead with talking about values and being pro-age and not making you want to feel broken because of your age. We're celebrating that, right? We're talking about benefits like your husband is going to look at you differently than he has before, that you're going to get compliments from friends, that you're going to have that glow back to your face that you've been missing that really helps you light up the room like you do. Right? Those are the true benefits. It's not about the ingredients that go in the makeup. And I know that hurts a lot of your all's heart, like especially my ecom folks out there that have had your business for a while and have put a lot of time and thought into what goes into that product. I'm not saying that that's not important by any means, right? I'm just saying that that is not the language that we are wanting to use in our ad copy. And it's normally what I see students using is just a big list of features. So we always have to keep this in mind and just double check before we move forward with ad copy. Am I speaking to features or am I speaking to benefits? And we all fall into this at some point, but especially from the ad copy side, we want to stay mostly in the benefit realm, unless maybe there is one feature that's really important. Like sometimes with Boom, we will target an audience of people that very much care about animal rights and animal cruelty. And we will use the hook of the fact that we don't do testing on animals. That is one case where we're going to lean more on a feature. But even in that case, we're still speaking to a bunch of benefits in the ad copy, right? It always comes back to benefits. So keep this in mind. And my friend Alex, she has a really cool, she's calling it features to benefit converter that you guys can opt into if you're interested. It's alexcatoni.com/FTB. Just a cool resource. Also an example of a really good lead magnet. Think about Alex. She sells courses and coaching around how to become a better copywriter. Well, she created this little tool that helps you flip your features into benefits. So just based off of the conversation yesterday with Russ around lead magnets, I also want you guys to look at that offer from that standpoint, because she's truly providing a tool. You know, she could have created a guide on features versus benefits or something that just feels a lot less valuable and a lot less cool than this tool that she's built, which is very simple. But the way she's positioned this, it's just a super strong offer. So just FYI, if you guys want to grab that. And then rule number 4, and I heard this from a client earlier today, actually, so it's funny that we're coming back to this. He kept saying, okay, Molly, but which ad copy variation is the winner, right? Like we're always looking for the winner and then we're going to turn the others off, right? And this is a huge misconception that's holding a lot of you guys back from the scale that you're looking for. And it's because a lot of us are always trying to find the winner or the winners. So the ad copy variations that are going to work the best. And I'm encouraging you guys, very much like we talked about in the targeting module, to really flip your mindset around this. We aren't looking for winners. We aren't looking for the best. That's good to note from time to time. But our goal here together is for you guys to develop a skill set where you can consistently pump out an array of copy and creative, right? Because this is truly what helps us scale. If we only have a few that are working, it's not really going to get us that far. So the ability to come up with these new hooks and these new variations and hope that they meet our success metric, the more that we can do that, the more sustainable and scalable our traffic system is going to be. So this isn't just important from the standpoint of us getting proof of concept when we're just starting out and knowing that we need ad copy. It's also about growing and sustaining a traffic system, because eventually copy variations are going to fatigue, right? That's naturally how this platform works. And so if we aren't able to consistently pump out new stuff and new ideas, it's going to get really tough. So just keep that in mind. This isn't always about finding a winner, it's about hoping that multiple variations work and that you are able to continue to repeat that process, because that's what this is truly about in the end. So I'm going to share with you guys a 3-step ad copy creation process that we use. The first step is definitely going to take the most time, but there are 3 steps here. And in the first step, I'm going to give you 15 different hook ideas and show you a ton of examples. So just remember that you guys do get these slides. You can download these in the members area, so don't feel like you have to be taking screenshots, or if I go quickly and don't read every ad variation, that's totally fine because you guys get these slides. And I think you all would want to take a nap if I read every word of every ad that I'm about to show you. So step 1 is all about the hooks. And what is a marketing hook? It's pretty simple. A hook is the compelling reason or reasons, because we need to have more than one, that encourages a prospect or customer to take the action you're requesting. So we have an offer, right? We've talked about that. We have an audience that we're looking to target. And now we're wanting to explain to them why this offer, this action, is something that they should do, right? Why this is something that will transform their life. And this comes from my old boss and CEO of digital marketer, Ryan Dice. And I'll show you something else from him later. But I love this slide and I love this quote because this is something that I'm always reminding myself, no matter which hook I'm using, and there's so many different directions that you can go with hooks, it really always comes back to this shift, right? And understanding that a great sales message simply articulates the shift, the transformation for this consumer from an undesirable before state to a desirable after state. And this doesn't have to be life-changing, like giving them a new heart transplant or something. I mean, this could be as simple as saving 2 minutes a day or helping them whiten their teeth. It can be small improvements to their day-to-day life, but when you are in this mindset of looking at your hooks through a filter of before and after, as we'll talk about more in step 2, that's going to help you keep the consumer in mind and to provide almost perfect product or service placement to say, I not only know who you are, avatar, but I know how this product or service can change your life. And when someone sees that in their newsfeed, they're so much more likely to act than a brand who's talking about how great their product or service is. So the types of questions that I'm starting to ask when I'm going into deciding on my hooks for a particular offer and a particular avatar, because you do want to have in mind when you go into this step, where am I sending traffic, right? So what lead magnet or product page am I sending traffic to? Of course, you want to have the avatar in mind, and this process is different for each avatar because, of course, the messaging towards each avatar is different because there is a different transformation happening for each avatar. So once I have that in mind, then I really start to ask myself questions like, what after state is this avatar desiring? What fears could I possibly resolve for them? Like, what are they worried about right now? What's stressing them out? What are they looking to achieve in their life, right? Maybe even outside of what I want to talk to them about, what do I know about this type of person? What are they wanting the end result of their life to be, or their year, or their day, or their week, or their month, or even their hour? Maybe they're just looking to improve their mood. So this is the point where I really try to start asking myself some pretty personal questions about this avatar and what they're thinking, because it leads to selecting the hooks that are going to best represent that and allow you to best speak directly to that. And last but not least, like what truly matters to this person? You know, if you're selling a toothbrush, like what really matters to this person? It's not, it's not the quality of the toothbrush head, right? This person is buying this particular toothbrush, especially if they're buying it on the internet through a Facebook ad, for a very specific reason that has nothing to do with features. Like what truly matters to this person and what is the conversation that's going on in their head. So again, we have hook ideas here for you guys. And I always keep adding to these, which is fun. I actually just removed 3 that were a bit outdated and that we don't use as much anymore. But that's good news because we added 4 new ones that we're starting to use on a more regular basis. And the idea for this is not to overwhelm you, but to really spark your creativity and start to give you guys ideas on what some good hooks would be to truly reflect why this avatar should buy your product or service or opt in for your webinar or whatever it is that you're asking them to do. So at the end of the training, the goal is going to be for you guys to pick 2 to 4 hooks based off of this training that you like, that you resonate with, that you think will work best for what you're doing, and then write some ad copy variations to at least one of your avatars. So something to keep in mind there, and we'll talk more about that later, is that you might need to give yourself a second to let these hook ideas sort of simmer, right? Let yourself sleep on it a few nights, possibly at least one, just to make sure that the hook ideas that you're choosing do feel like they're best reflected of what you're wanting to do with the overall business and project that you're working on. But it's also important to understand that you can absolutely mix and match these. So you will find multiple hooks in a lot of these ads, right? Like you might say, Molly, I see like 4 different hooks in that one particular ad. And that's totally fine, right? But it's good for you to first at least pick a few of the hooks that you want to focus on. And I'll show you what that looks like at the end, so that you know for each copy variation that you're writing that you're testing a very different angle, right? You don't want to test a bunch of ad copy variations that are super similar. That's not going to be a really good test for you. You're not going to see very different results. But if we pick very different hooks and speak to very different reasons they would take this action, those are bigger levers that are going to produce much more interesting test results that might tell you how you want to move forward. But always keep in mind that you can very much mix and match these, and you'll even see a few of the examples that I'm going to show you in different categories, in multiple categories, because they really do fit more than one. But I love the idea of these hooks. And it's funny, Ryan McKenzie, he's a Blue Ribbon member and he owns True Earth, which you guys are going to see more into that business here today. It's a laundry detergent company. But Ryan's spending like 80, 90K a day on Facebook right now, which is really pumped. We're super proud of him. He just started this business 2 years ago. And I talked to Ryan today and he was like, you know, Molly, I told him that I was using him as an example here. I said, yeah, I added a few new hook ideas because he's always asking me for new hook ideas. And he's like, Molly, I've just now really started focusing on the creation and using these different hook ideas. And I forgot how important this was to scale. You know, I'd been caught in so much of the campaign structure stuff and like worrying about ABO versus CBO and like this objective versus that objective, which we know is important, but nothing is more important to scale and our scalability than just testing some of these different hook ideas, because I've been able to reach a very different part of the market that just hasn't been resonating with my messaging. So I just tell you guys that to keep in mind. This isn't just important if you're just starting out. This is also essential when you're going to scale, because the ability to come up with these different ideas and these different sort of entry paths into what you're wanting them to do, that's what's not only going to allow you to reach more of the people that you're already reaching right now or that you're already going to be, but it can also open you up to more audiences too. So yeah, great to have a main focus, but you'll see that some of these are mixed. I did cover 2 of these in the free boot camp. So if you guys went through that, you'll remember some of these, but yeah, the others we didn't cover, and we've got a ton of new examples and some oldies but goodies that are just too good not to show. Most of these ads, guys, I've been behind the scenes in some way in terms of I know that they've worked not only from a I liked this ad in my own news feed, but I know that they produced solid results. Some of them are just ads that we've seen in our news feeds over the years that we just think are great examples. But I just want you to know most of these are ads that we've actually seen the behind the scenes too, because I know you guys are, I know people in the past have asked that. So just FYI. Okay, so the first hook, and this is always my go-to. Well, I wouldn't say always, but I usually choose this as one of the hooks that I want to use, especially when I'm first starting out. And this one's super simple, right? It's just thinking about pain and benefit and before and after. So what pain points does your problem solve? What are the benefits they're going to achieve after they consume whatever you're asking them to do that's going to solve those pain points? And really, what does that transformation look like? So very simple, just thinking about the pain points, the after state, the before and after. This is a really simple hook idea, and it's pretty all encompassing. All of you guys can use this for any type of business, really in any situation. So I'm going to run through a bunch of examples here of pain benefit before after ads that I really like. This one's from True Earth, Ryan's business that I just told you guys about. And a cool part of True Earth is that they're these little laundry strips. So they come in this small package, and it's like 30 or 60 loads of laundry in this small package. So one hook that he started using in the last few months that I think is brilliant is focusing around the fact that when you're buying liquid laundry detergent, especially from the grocery store, it is heavy, right? Those are super heavy to carry around. And so he's starting with this pain point, no more heavy bottles. It's brilliant. There's so many hooks that you'll see from True Earth. The eco-friendly side of things, the saving money, the saving time, the saving space. But this hook here, focusing on the pain point of no more heavy bottles and carrying them up the stairs or carrying them into your house, it's awesome. And this one's working well for him and has been. So I like the idea of no more laundry bottles. I wasn't sure it would work. It does. I took all the strips, divided it into individual ones, and put in glass quart jar with lid. So she's kind of telling her story here. I care about the environment, and this product definitely is a step in the right direction. So we do have, a mention of that sort of environmental hook. But really what we're opening with and the pain point that we're hitting is no more heavy bottles, right? I'm a senior woman, so that's really his avatar here. And my clothes aren't terribly dirty, so I can't speak to heavy soil issues. I limit the number of washes. So she's kind of going more in her day-to-day life. But here's the pain point. And this is obviously, we're obviously solving this pain point. And this is a cool creative about saying goodbye to the struggle. And she's, obviously not having a good time carrying these up the stairs. So this is a good example of just, hey, what is a simple pain point that we're solving with this product? Let's focus on this and tell a little bit of Barbara's story here. Over here is Sierra Madre. These guys are also a Blue Ribbon member. Their media buyer, Casey, went through the last round of TMTP and they had amazing results. They're running some really great ads now. This is definitely a brand to look at in Facebook ads library also, and you'll be seeing more ads from them today. But this is a really simple pain benefit that Casey wrote in the last class. And he was going to a pre-sale article about 5 reasons campers are ditching their ground tents. So ever had a sleepless night on a camping trip? Question mark. So really super simple pain point that we're calling out. Anybody who has camped knows that this is one of the biggest pain points is that you're hiking, you're trying to enjoy your time out in nature, but you can't sleep because it's too uncomfortable. So they're coming right out here, addressing that undesirable before state, addressing that pain point, and then saying, it's not your fault, it's your tent, right? There's no rest when you're sleeping on the hard, uneven ground, a pile of rocks, or flooded tent. See the 5 reasons campers are ditching their ground tents. So he's starting to speak more to that after state here. This is a super native creative. We'll talk about it next week, but this is actually of Casey getting out of his tent, looking really sleepy, looking really disheveled. But a really simple ad that's been working for them since the beginning of the last TMTP. And very simple pain benefit. Ever had a sleepless night on a camping trip? So notice they're not speaking to a bunch of pain points, y'all, right? They're not listing out a bunch of different questions and making it feel like an ad. Just really simple. No more heavy bottles. Ever had a sleepless night? And then going into speaking about solving that problem and more of the after state that they're looking for. Okay, this is another one from True Earth. Most people recycle their plastic laundry jugs and assume they aren't contributing waste. The bad news, only 20% of laundry jugs get recycled. Okay, so I really like this one because this is a completely different pain point that a lot of people might not even be aware of already, which makes it even more scalable. And it's the fact that, okay, if we're already using, or if we're using liquid detergent, we have these plastic jugs, and we're recycling them, then we might feel okay about what we're doing. Yeah, I'm buying plastic, but I'm recycling it. So Ryan is using this hook to point out and prove that even if you didn't think a pain point was there, it actually is. And he's using some logic and a stat here, which we'll talk more about here in a bit, to prove his point and really catch people's attention. People love numbers. Anytime you can present a stat or a number of some sort, it really catches people's attention. And then he's going into more education. So this is a very much a hybrid of a few hooks, as you'll see as we move forward. But I love that he's calling out this pain point. It's the fact that even though you're recycling it, it doesn't mean that you're not contributing to waste. And only 20% of them get recycled. That blows my mind. This one over here is very similar in the sense that she is creating a problem that you might not have even known that you had. And this one grossed me out, but are you aware that there's 362 times more bacteria on gym weights than a toilet seat? Ugh. So number one, if you have the pain point already, this is a home workout. So she's using the hook of let's make people aware of how gross gyms can be and how dirty they can be. And the fact that working out at home, kind of gets you around that. But let's go ahead and create the problem, even if that isn't something that you're thinking about every day when you're going to the gym and it's feeling, and maybe that's something you're already aware of. So using this stat and then transitioning into now you can get all of the benefits of that training at home, right? And it's designed for a woman's body. So she could have gone a little bit more. She said while having peace of mind, but she could have mentioned a little bit more of the after state here of like, not engaging in this bacteria. But I love this example too, because it's very simple where these two are absolutely problems that these people already know that they have, right? Like she carries these up the stairs already at least twice a month or whatever. He has already experienced this sleepless night. You're not going to ignore that. These are a very similar hook They are just creating the problem through a statistic that someone might not have known that they had. And you don't always have to have a stat, but just kind of a different way of thinking. These are definitely more scalable, but these still work really well too. Okay, I love the dogtrainingsecret.com. If you guys have gone through any other trainings with me, you know that I love his advertising because he does such a good job of keeping it native. His ads never look like ads. And he does a lot of pain benefit before and after copy. So is your dog obsessed with food to the point that it's a problem? So was Josh, right? Or Joss. Until her owner learned some service dog industry secrets that got her food obsessed to ignore a bunch of spilled kibble. Really, really simple pain point. Benefit is here, and it leads to his free masterclass. This is an ad that we ran from my page for a swipe file that we call an adsumer report. This was an opt-in, so we were looking to generate leads here. So of course I was using other hooks around the benefit of this swipe file and speaking to other things that I knew people would be interested in, but I knew that I wanted to use a pain benefit. So I thought about the swipe file. Okay, what is the biggest pain point that this swipe file solves? And it's really coming up with inspiration, coming up with ideas. A lot of people say marketers are thieves. I don't love that because I don't really like the concept of stealing. Like, I don't think most of us steal. I know we definitely don't. But I do like the concept that we're always getting inspiration, copy, creative ideas, offer ideas. Most of that for me comes through other brands that I'm interacting with or stuff that I'm seeing in my world that I feel we can apply to Smart Marketer or our clients. So I wanted to use that as sort of the pain point, right? Like that lack of inspiration, need inspiration for your next Facebook campaign. This is full of ideas to get your advertising wheels turning again. So this is sort of the pain point, the before state, and this right here is already speaking to that after state. And then I go into some copy that's more so me absolutely empathizing with what they're going through, right? Whenever I experience that, here's what I do. That's how I got the idea for this report. Here's what I think you should do with it. Hey, do you want this, right? And go ahead and click here to get the latest AdSumer report. So this is another example of a really simple pain benefit. These are two more from the dog training secrets, but just see how he's using this same hook style, this pain benefit style, but just changing the content and changing the offer for scale. So this one's more about your dog getting too excited and out of control. Watch this 1-minute video, which is an evergreen online training, where this one's more about get a dog that just seems to do what they want, right? Watch this quick exercise. So this is also really shows you guys how important this is with scalability. There are some people that he's going to reach. Like there are some people he's targeting that their dog just doesn't get too out of control. That's not the problem. But the problem is that they seem to do what they want, right? This is Larry. Whereas some of you dog owners might have this problem or have the problem of the previous ad that I showed you. It's not necessarily about which one of these is doing the best. It's hoping that they all resonate and they allow us to reach a higher volume in terms of the amount of people we can reach in that particular market. That's the goal here. Monday.com, this is really simple, managing a remote team. So opening with, sort of a pain point. We know it can be challenging. We've outlined 6 reasons why distributed teams are the future of work. So I normally don't like super short ad copy like this, as I'll talk about later, but I do like the fact that this is addressing a pain point and speaking to a benefit which leads to the offer. This one on the right, I've done a lot of consulting with these guys. They're also in Blue Ribbon. These are phone cases that biodegrade, which is really cool. And they are definitely doing very similar to what True Earth was doing in terms of creating a problem, even if you didn't know the problem was there. I don't know how you wouldn't know the environmental issues are there, but they're making sure, right? Did you know phone cases were this scary of a problem, right? 182 billion straws, 38 billion water bottles, 1+ billion phone cases. So showing that, this is up there with straws and water bottles in terms of what's destroying our environment. A lot of people aren't thinking about that when it comes to their phone case. So they have just created a problem here, essentially out of thin air, that then, of course, makes a case for them to go over and check out their phone cases. So Paylicase runs pretty good ads. I'm still trying to get them to dive further into this idea of switching up hooks. But this is a good example of pain benefit. So again, that's always my default, guys. You all will use that over and over again. It's super simple, but we've got to have different options too, right? Especially to relate to people that maybe see us speaking to a pain point or speaking to a before state in a direct way, like you see here, and feel like it looks too much like an ad, right? There are people that will just never bite on these style ads, but that's okay. That's why we use multiple different hooks and copy styles. So the second is tell a story. And this is one of my favorites, especially in 2020, because it allows us to look very native and it allows us to say what we want to say without looking like we're talking about ourselves. People just naturally engage with one another's stories. If you think about how social platforms work, that is what people are doing. They're engaging on Instagram and Facebook with other people's stories. That's literally what we are doing on this platform. So if you can adapt that in your ad strategy, it's going to be really, really efficient. So let's look at how these guys have done this. In 2018, 3 Canadian friends had an exciting new idea. They had a dream of eliminating a lot of plastic laundry jugs that get dumped every year. To reach this goal, they would need to create an eco-friendly laundry detergent that works better and is more convenient than the options already on the platform. After months of preparation, this laundry detergent was born. So it's a story about them, and that's what's fun about telling a story. You can either tell a story about yourself, and even if you do that though, you've got to be careful to still speak to the pain points and the end benefits here. So notice that they're telling a story about the business, but they're talking about eliminating plastic laundry jugs. They're talking about an eco-friendly laundry detergent. They're talking about it being more convenient and more options than were already on the market. So even though it looks like they're talking about themselves, because people are interested in stories about other people and other companies, look at how they're still weaving in these benefits and these topics that they know that this eco-friendly avatar is going to be interested in. So really good example of a quick story. Here on the right, this is from Sierra Madre. This is a little bit different. And in a minute, we're going to talk about testimonials. Testimonials can be stories, but we want to make sure we're picking the right testimonials. And this is an example of absolutely picking the right, very specific testimonial to use as a story. And this was from a customer. This is change the way we camp as a family. So it's speaking directly to the avatar of families. And this has changed the way we camp. If you camp, you're like, wow, okay, this must be pretty significant. And it's from someone else, right? It's from a consumer. This isn't just from the brand. I should probably pay attention. As a family of 4, we spend about 100 nights a year in the woods. Wow, I want that life. We put so that builds some credibility, some major credibility. We put a lot of time under these things and they have never let us down. And then under here, it looks like we have a bunch of features, but actually notice how Casey flipped all of these to benefits. Complete rain protection, complete bug protection, complete gear protection. Those are all 3 things that you're always thinking about when you're camping. I don't want my stuff to get wet, or I don't want to get wet. I don't want my stuff to get wet or hurt or damaged, and bugs. Comfort, no more back neck pain, keep things away from mud and rain. and then a little bit of social proof there with 5,000 happy customers. So this is a fantastic idea of how to use a short testimonial and a story to catch someone's attention. And again, notice the specificity here, right? This doesn't say, these are the best tints ever. I love them. The best quality ever, right? Those are still most of the testimonials I see, and they just sound like an ad. He's talking about having a family. He's spending 100 nights a year out in the woods. My kids have literally grown up underneath these. How powerful of a line of copy is that, right? When you're thinking about this father avatar, right, and parents who camp, what do they really care about? Remember those questions I was asking you at the beginning? What really matters to this person? I mean, of course they care about the rain and the mud and the being comfortable and the bugs, but what they truly care about are those memories, those experiences, how it feels to see their kids literally grow up underneath, these particular tents in nature. It's just such a good testimonial choice here. And this is an example of the types of testimonials we want to use if we're going that route. And again, telling a story doesn't always have to be a testimonial. You can tell a story about yourself. You could tell a story about an ideal consumer that you're looking to reach. You could even tell a story about, two people having a conversation or three people having a conversation. But you can also use testimonials. We just want to make sure that they're specific. Here's another pretty good story-based ad. I couldn't understand why my metabolism had slowed down so much. And this is less of a testimonial. I'm sorry, this is more of a story-based ad from the person who, the figurehead of this company. This is from her voice. So fortunately, a simple change. I couldn't understand why my metabolism had slowed down so much. And usually you wouldn't be able to talk about metabolism or burning more fat, as you'll see here, because Facebook's very weird about that when it comes to policy. But because they've put this in quotations and it's more of a story and someone else's words and not words that could be perceived as coming from Facebook, this is a great hook style to use if you're in a market that's a bit more of a gray area on Facebook. So I couldn't understand why my metabolism had slowed down so much. Fortunately, a simple change to my routine got me back on track. So the problem was, okay, the metabolism had slowed down. She made this one simple change. Now I'm burning more fat on autopilot. So we still have that transition from before to after here. The delivery is just very different than if we came out and said, hey, are you struggling with your metabolism ? Which Facebook would not like from a policy standpoint. We can still say the same thing, just in a different way. And then try just one sip before bed. I like that part because it really speaks to the speed and the ease of taking action on this. It's just one sip before bed, just one quick thing that they can do. Hold on, guys. I've got the heater on and it is absolutely toasting me. Okay, we're all good now. Alrighty, so next up, John, are we still good? Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's going great. Sorry, I have been chatting with people so much. I didn't have a quippy little thing to jump in with when you stepped away,
No,
but
no worries. I just
yeah.
I felt like I was yeah, in an instant pot or something.
But no, people are
Okay,
loving
y'all.
this. A
So
few people have said I'm gonna start writing this ad right after this, which is awesome. So
fantastic. I mean, that's why I'm showing these to you guys, because take inspiration, because they probably got inspiration from someone else, Never ever directly copy someone's ad copy, of course. And usually I'm taking examples from markets that are not even close to similar. But there is a way to apply all of these to your business. So I'm really glad you're enjoying this. Okay, next up is Live Bearded. These guys are also in Blue Ribbon. They sell beard supplies. And these are some good stories, some good specific testimonials. And they have some that aren't so good that I'm going to show you in a minute. But I loved this first one on the left because it also kind of goes against the grain. Like it's very eye catching. And so I want you to notice that. It starts with, I hate the executive. I do. When do you ever read that, John? Right? Because most people, this would be, I love the executive. It's the best beard product ever. Okay, I love it. It's amazing. Right? That's what you're used to reading. But when you read, I hate this, you're like, ooh, there's drama. Like, what's going on? It's different. It's super eye catching. So I also like this because of the specificity of it in regards to the after state. So this isn't just about the beard feeling soft or the beard looking good. I hate it because my wife loves the smell so much, I'm guaranteed one smooch after I put it on. So he's speaking to something that has nothing to do with his beard, but that he's actually looking to achieve in his life. I hate it because it makes my beard feel soft. Most of all, I hate the executive because it makes me not want to try anything else. So I just think that's awesome. And on the right, again, we're using a simple testimonial, but it's not just this is the best beard product ever. It's I can't tell you how many times I get stopped by people asking what cologne I'm wearing. It's nice to get compliments, guys. I mean, it feels good when someone says, hey, you smell good, or what cologne are you wearing? So he's speaking to the fact indirectly that people are stopping him and complimenting him, which is something that humans inherently want, most of us at least. Eric said, I tell them I don't wear cologne to work, and it's probably my beard, which makes it a little bit funnier. But I just want to show you that the testimonials or the story doesn't have to be super long. It's just that specificity that matters, right? And the most specific part of these on the left, it's about his wife loving it and wanting to kiss him. On the right, it's about getting stopped by people asking what cologne that I'm wearing. It's not about the beard being soft. It's not about the ingredients in the beard wash. It's not about it being this or that. It's truly about the change that this is going to provide for that person, even though it's something simple like beard products. Now, I've showed a lot of you guys these before, but I just want to go through these Panda Planner ones really quick because they worked amazingly well and they're such good examples of telling a story. And this one on the left is more of a hybrid of me writing some copy introducing them to someone. And then on the right, this is just the words of Ruth, of the customer. So this one on the left, meet the old version of Olga. And I wanted to say the old version because that's really eye-catching. You're like, oh, what happened to her? What do you mean the old version? What? People love transformations. Why do we watch The Biggest Loser? Why do we watch shows where we're transforming people's homes, about interior decoration? I mean, we love a transformation. We love watching anything that shows a transformation. So saying meet the old version of blank, that catches your attention. And then I slide in the web marketing entrepreneur because that's the avatar I was wanting to target, and a before state who was struggling with procrastination and getting work done. Then I put her words in here. I'm self-employed, wanted to better organize my work, stop procrastinating, organize my to-dos, grow my business, manage my migraines. I feel you, girl. Do regular workouts, eat healthy. So again, this is a planner, but we're making it about so much more in their life. And then meet Olga now after Panda Planner. And then we have the after state here. So really simple, just me piecing out the before and after, but telling it in story version. If I didn't already have testimonials or customers, I easily could tell this story about myself. If this is a product that you're working with, maybe you could get results from that product and speak about the old version and new version of yourself, or give the product or service to a friend or anybody that you can tell a story about. Here on the right, this is Ruth. These were her words. But again, it starts with the before state. She was stuck in a job she hated mid-divorce. Finances were a mess. She was looking for control. Her colleague casually mentioned Panda Planner, and she gave it a try. She got a new job, paid off thousands of dollars in debt, haven't double booked my poetry readings, etc., etc. And again, these are still incorporating the before after, the pain benefit that lives in everything that we do. This is just a very different way of going about it because there are so many of us that just love to read stories about other people. And there are so many ways that you can do this. Here on the left, another Panda Planner ad. This was for the dad avatar and entrepreneur avatar. Since having kids and starting my business, my attention has been those and not myself. So I started with that bit of copy because I knew that would really catch people's attention. I gained weight, became out of shape, added stress, relationships grew more distant, didn't make quality time for my kids, didn't feel I balanced my time well. That's the before state. And again, guys, we are selling a planner. A planner is a very simple tool that most people would look at it and say, oh, the benefits are staying organized. I mean, look at the before state we were able to speak to about this person's life. Probably everything he's stressing about, his physical health, his mental health, his relationships, his children, right? We were able to tie a planner back to that. So anybody's product or service can be tied back to something or multiple deeper hooks here. And then, of course, we move into when I started to use it. I took care of myself. I know how to put others first, or I have always put others first. And now my priorities for each day are my health, my family, showing others appreciation. I enjoy more time with my kids, etc. Here on the right, this is more simple. This is from a personality brand, Drew Canoli, who founded Organifi. And this is simple. 5 years ago, I had my very first green juice and it changed my life. I started feeling better, had more energy. So he's speaking more to the after state, but this is an example of a short, sweet tell a story, especially when it's coming from, the founder's point of view or when it's written in first person, right? That works just as well as telling stories about other people also. And again, these don't have to be super long copy variations. We'll talk about that in a bit, but Boom does this all the time with the different ambassadors that they have. Elizabeth finds that less is more for her when it comes to cosmetics. See how she uses just 3 little sticks to get a fabulously dewy look. So speaking to the fact that she doesn't want to have to wear a bunch of makeup, she doesn't want to have to use a bunch of different types of makeup, but just with these simple 3 little sticks, and she gets this dewy, glowy look that she's looking for. Roseanne switched to new makeup. Now she's getting compliments, so back to the compliment hook. And she gets this hook in only a couple of minutes. So her average day has benefited from this too. So these are also stories, but they're just 2 sentences. I would recommend going longer and deeper like I've showed in these others, especially if you're just starting out. But with where Boom is right now, they can more so get away with these really short and simple stories. This one on the left, another dog training secret, but it's more in testimonial form. Again, look at the specificity here. The lab used to be very hyper, running into the street, digging holes. So then after 5 days, again, people love numerical specificity. They don't have to worry about her taking off into the road, right? Very simple, but now he's still using that pain benefit, but now it's in story form. Here on the right, 2 MIT grads are building a wine algorithm to predict the best wines to match their taste buds, and it's going viral. Their short quiz can tell you your top 4 wine matches in 7 questions. So again, a pretty short native tell a story hook there. Again from Boom, but this is Becky. We're speaking about how easy and flattering, and she can't wait to put the makeup on each day. The after state is she gets beautiful sun-kissed look in just a couple of minutes. Kind of the same thing with Kim over here. But Boom also does use more specific testimonials too. Like at 58, I've come to the point where makeup no longer enhances my features, right? The powdery product just sits there on my face and accentuates this slightest imperfection. I started researching online and boom, there it was. And then she goes into the after state. And of course, part of that is the 3 sticks and how simple it is. This one on the right is about, instantly her skin feels nourished and moisturized. It calmed her skin down like it was intended to do. Here on the left, Hunt a Killer is a really cool game that comes in the mail, and most of their ads are in story format. Whether it's first person, as you can see over on the left, my 12-year-old daughter and I are both fascinated by true crime and conspiracies. This is another great way to call out an avatar. Like, I know that Allison speaking to nanas of children, we've got a lot of you, Monica, that are targeting parents of kids. Well, a great way to catch that person's attention is to say, my 15-year-old daughter, started her period in class, period, right? And going on to talk about that experience and how glad that you were that, she was prepared. And that's something that would catch anyone's attention that has a 15-year-old daughter, 14-year-old daughter. When you see that number right there, you see that story in the first line, it's like, oh, this is for me. And then on the right, they're still using tell a story, but more so, it takes everything that's great about board games and uses it to tell a gripping murder mystery story where you're the lead investigator. It's full of puzzles, so that's a bit more featurey. But I love every game night, my friends and I put on our detective hat and learn about the suspect's secret background, so you can imagine yourself doing this with friends. Here's another good one from Nick Ortner, the tapping solution. He has good content for anybody interested in tapping. But hi, I'm Nick, New York Times bestseller of the tapping solution and resident of Newton, Connecticut. My two business partners, my brother Alex and sister, are also residents. The day the Sandy Hook tragedy, we started the Tapping Solution Foundation. So he's giving that information to tie it back to why he started this business and any way we could help to release stress, overcome trauma, and feel more at peace. Ever since that day, we've done one-on-one work helping first responders, lost children, and now we've given away our program and products for free to residents. We're doing the same with our app. If you're a resident, it will always be free for you. If you've never heard about tapping, keep reading. So obviously this was targeted to a certain area, a certain city, which is great, but this would have worked if it had nothing to do with Connecticut and just him introducing himself and sort of explaining that origin story, especially if your product or service was truly created out of a need that you had in a specific moment or a series of moments like Nick did here. An event happened, he created this as a way to overcome it. Telling that as a story will be really powerful because it makes sense to people as to why you created this and therefore why they might want it versus you just created this to make a bunch of money. So this is a pretty good example of an origin story. Don't do this from an ad creative standpoint. It looks too professional, but we'll talk about that next week. Some of you guys might have seen this ad. We've run it a few times, but this is my story and this worked great. People love to engage with other people's stories. And I told my story here as a way to get people interested in the webinar that we were doing, but also as a way to motivate them and inspire them to let them know that they could achieve the same results and therefore live the life that they want because they had acquired this skill set too. So, you see a lot of numbers in here in 2012, 2014. Again, people love numbers. They love dates. They love seeing numbers in ad copy. Numbers are easy to consume, and they're very eye-catching. So, this was about being a bartender, moving to Austin, working with digital marketer, going out on my own, launching TMTP with Ezra. Oh, and we're hosting this training to unpack exactly how I've gone about developing this skill set. So another example of a story, but of course it's leading back to a specific offer here. You'll see more of these on the left here in a bit when I show you guys all of the copy that Russ wrote for his homework. But this is another good example of telling a story. So when are you going to get a real job? What are you doing in front of that computer all day? When are you going to bring in some real money? That's something that Russ said. That is something that someone said to Russ. And he says, seriously, they'll laugh and poke at you until you give up. I know because I've been there. So he's telling a bit of a story and then turning this into an inspirational post as to why they should sign up for his webinar. I want to point out, I love this boom testimonial on the right because it is calling out the age range, which is very important for this avatar, very similar to the age of the child that I was speaking to earlier with Hunt a Killer. Sorry guys, Hunt a Killer. And I also like that they're calling out the audience of super sensitive and sun damaged skin here. So just by reading this, if you are in this age range and or you suffer from fair, super sensitive, sun damaged skin, which it's really hard. I mean, there's not really a lot of ways to target people on Facebook based off of that, but you can absolutely call them out in the ad copy by using a very specific testimonial or story like Boom has here. Okay, quickly guys, I just want to talk about testimonials because usually when I teach this, everybody wants to tell a story, which is great, but then we pick or use testimonials that are just way too broad and sound like an ad. So as I've been saying, we always want to look for specificity here. So what not to do, love you guys, live bearded. But if I were to remove 2 of the ads that you were running, currently, these would be it. And I know you might be using these, you're probably just using these for retargeting, which makes sense, but it still makes a difference. So hands down, the best product out there. I've tried many other companies and Live Bearded destroys the competition. I'll never buy anything but Live Bearded from now on. So this is just a very broad testimonial that doesn't tell me how this is for me at all, right? There's no benefit here for me at all. It's just talking about how it's better than others. This is by far the best investment I've put into my beard. Again, these might be okay from a retargeting standpoint, but I just want to show these to you guys because this is what we don't want to do. This is what not to do. These are vague testimonials that's just the best investment. It's the best product out there. It destroys the competition. There's just not a lot of specificity at all. So that's definitely not what to do. And we've already gone through these. These are what to do. Pull out the testimonials, pull out the bits of the testimonials that talk about the specific end state that that person is looking to achieve, right? Getting more attention from his wife or getting stopped by people to ask what cologne they're wearing, right? That's specificity. These are so much better than these testimonials here. So just use that filter as you're going through any testimonials or feedback, or even if you're writing stories on your own, just keep this example in mind. Oops, sorry guys, got a little happy on the on the keyboard there. But always keep this in mind because it's really important, and it comes up a lot when we start to critique the copy that you guys submit. John, did I hear you on there? Maybe.
You did not, but things are going very, very well. People are super interested, and a bunch of people said we can download all these ad examples, right? So just a reminder for everyone that these slides will be available when we upload this recording to the members area tomorrow, where you can download them. So don't feel like you need to copy down all of these right now. You'll have them for reference soon enough.
Okay.
But now I may have lost you, Molly. I don't know if you stepped away.
No, all good. I had some coughs come through, so. Okay. Alrighty. Moving on to number 3, and these are gonna get much shorter. If I showed you 30 examples from each, we would be on here for 5 hours, which I would have fun with, but you guys would probably fall asleep. So I'm gonna shorten these a little bit because we've got other content to go through too, other than these hooks. But I'm glad you're enjoying. So number 3, feel. So this is all about emotions and how people are feeling about that before state and that desired after state. Again, this is a hook that all of us can use in almost every situation. And this is definitely going to reach the part of your market that's a little bit more in touch with their emotions, and maybe is a bit more empathetic or is suffering from a certain feeling or emotion that they're not wanting to experience. So this hook is really all about how people feel. Here on the left, Organifi, I love this. 6 months from now, when people come up to you and they ask, what have you been doing? I want some of that, whatever it is. You look amazing. So this is similar to the beard testimonial, but then they put, you can't put a price tag on that feeling, right? And you can actually almost feel that, like, oh, that feels good when, someone gives me a compliment. Organifi is absolutely speaking directly to your feelings here. Over here on the right, I hated feeling so tired, tight, and sore after my gym workouts. Fortunately, I tried this revolutionary full body routine because it had me burning fat and sculpting long, lean muscles without the discomfort. I'm so thankful. It's all I needed to get in shape. So she was feeling tired in the before. I wish she would have spoke to the after state here. Like, now I have more energy. Now I'm not feeling so tired. But this is just a great example. And again, this is a story on the right. So this is a mix of a feeling hook and a tell a story hook. But I just wanted to show these to you guys because, again, in almost every single scenario that you're going to be in, it doesn't matter whether you're B2B, B2C, what you're doing, we can always sit and think about feeling as a hook. And what is that transformation? Like, what are people, how are they feeling now, and how are they looking to feel in relation to my offer and what I'm asking them to do? This is a really cool emotional wheel that you guys can always use. This is something that John shared with me a while ago that I love. It's from Jeffrey Roberts, based off of work by Dr. Gloria Wilcox. And this can really get you thinking about the emotions that your avatar might be feeling. And it not just helps you think about what they're feeling, but it also allows you to go deeper into more descriptive emotions, that aren't just, you can see in the middle here. We have happy, sad, disgusted, angry, fearful, bad, surprised. There's nothing wrong with those, but as we start to work outward into the wheel, they get more specific, right? So if we're in the angry, in the red piece of the pie here, we move out to let down, humiliated, bitter, mad, aggressive, frustrated, distant, critical. So those are a bit more specific. And then we move into even more specificity: betrayed, resentful, disrespected, ridiculed, violated, furious, jealous. So this is just a great place to go to get ideas when you're using this hook, not only to say, okay, how are they feeling, right? Maybe pick one of the six here that's displayed in the very middle, pick one of those and then work outwards so that you can use some more descriptive words. Really is the point of this. I don't know if you want to add anything else, John, but this is so helpful with copywriting, and it also helps you from repeating, like, when you're feeling bad, when you're feeling bad, it's like, no, let's use some more specificity. You're feeling out of control, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling rushed. That's descriptive. And when people hear those outside words, they can really imagine themselves and see themselves feeling that
Yeah.
way versus just saying, I feel bad.
The one thing I will say on this is if you guys haven't seen this movie, it's incredible. Dead Poets Society. There's a scene in it when Robin Williams is talking about poetry and he's like, we live for this, right? We do this. This is how people feel anger and joy and sadness. And he says, we don't feel tired. We feel exhausted. We don't feel angry. We feel righteously pissed off. I don't remember the quote exactly, but just it's like a 2-minute clip, but I feel like it really sums up sort of the way people think about entertainment and art and culture. And that is when ads work the best, right? When they tap those same emotional trigger buttons that people have when they're watching a movie that they're really into, or watching a TV show, or reading a book. When you can create ads that are
Knowing
as
about
engaging as entertainment content, you are going to win every single time. So I always think that is sort of my driving force between looking at things like this emotional wheel, right? Helpful or helpless, frightened, overwhelmed. Those are all really powerful words that can help people get into a particular state of mind about how they're feeling and what they want to address.
Yeah, love it. Side note, guys, I just got a text from Ryan McKenzie from True Earth, and he's running a new ad that's really creative. This is more of a give a gift around the holiday hook, but it says, "Dear Santa, I'm so happy that I found True Earth. I've given True Earth as gifts to many of my friends. My clothes are clean, and I'm up to 5 laundry bottles avoided. Your friend," and then it's signed Lil P, I think it says. But I thought that was cute because they made it look and sound like a Dear Santa letter. That's such a creative way to catch someone's attention who might be looking to give gifts. So just another example of tapping that creative side of the brain. But yeah, definitely use this wheel, guys. And thank you for finding that years ago, John. Okay, number 4, this hook is around someone's average day. And it's really thinking about how whatever you're asking them to do, how your offer might improve their day-to-day life. And this could be improving it emotionally and how they feel. It could also be things like saving them time or saving them from doing something they don't want to do, like sitting in traffic. So there are a lot of products, especially physical products, but also non-physical products that absolutely improve our average day and can improve our average day. Um, like, for example, what we were talking about yesterday with Russ, the lead magnet we created a few years ago, it was a social media swipe file. And the goal for this was that it saved social. One of the hooks we used is, hey, social media manager, this will save you, a lot of time every day because you're not going to have to come up with new ideas. So just to use an example from yesterday, there's so many ways to position this if it is something that interacts with their average day. This is an ad from Hired I saw a few years ago, but I just love it and I think it's a great example of this. If you're counting down the hours until you get to leave the office, it might be time for a change. So they're speaking to that before state of you don't like your job is basically what they're saying without saying it, but that undesirable, oh, I'm just counting down the hours and I know exactly how they feel. With over 3,500 companies on Hired, find one that you're passionate about. So that's the after state, and then get more out of your work-life balance. So I really like speaking to average day like this. If you're counting down the hours until you get to leave the office, I mean, all of those Panda Planner ads that I showed you guys, those were average day ads, talking about getting the cleaning done and picking up the kids. Like, how are we helping what feels mundane a lot of times is really what this hook is all about. This ad copy isn't the best for a lot of reasons, but the hook is here. And it's big news. Let us introduce, which is funny, a totally new way to enjoy meal kits are new 5-minute lunches. They're fresh, pre-portioned, feature, blah, blah, blah. Did we mention there's no cooking required? So again, this needs a lot of work, but I wanted to show this to you guys because the 5-minute part is great. That specificity is an awesome hook for people who are rushing during lunch. I mean, John, when we worked in an office together, a lot of times this was a discussion, right? Like, what is the absolute quickest thing that we can get? And you were better at that than I was, I think. But if you're busy, this is a huge pain point. And the fact that it's not just, look, these are great salads for lunch, but they went a step further to develop that hook for their avatar of it's the 5-minute lunch. That makes this a pretty good average day hook, although the ad needs a good amount of work. Of course, as I said to you guys, these Panda Planner ads are absolutely speaking to average day too. They're just also tell a story. So I didn't want to forget about these. All right, number 5 is speaking to status. This is honestly usually about speaking to ego, which we all have ego, right? That is part of being a human. And yeah, I don't believe ego ever truly goes away. It's a constant balancing of relationship, is the way I like to look at it. But we all have, an ego side of us, and sort of caring what other people think, or caring what our status is in some way. And we can use that in marketing. And along these same lines, the idea of explaining any proof that you have to back up whatever it is you're trying to say in your ad. So it's like a status slash a using proof hook. And this is one of the best examples of this I've ever seen. I love Third Love. They're a great brand. And it says, "This is the third one I've purchased. It really is the most comfortable, well-fitting bra ever." Those first two sentences are pretty generic, don't really love them. But here's where it gets good. "I have since gotten rid of all of my Victoria's Secret bras, and I'm slowly replacing them with these." So this is a total status hook where they took, sort of let's say a company that's kind of in the middle of this market that's very well known, Victoria's Secret, and they just position themselves as better than this brand that most women know and have probably in some time in their life bought products from. So this is a great example of a status hook. And just by saying, okay, we've since gotten rid of these more mainstream bras that are lesser than Third Love. So they're basically saying we're better than this other brand that almost all of you know, even though a lot of you don't know ours, without having to come out and directly say that. So speaking to someone's status. There are lots of other ways to do this too. I mean, obviously, people show status through materialism in a lot of ways, and the way they look and what they're wearing and what they're going to buy and what car they're going to be in and like all that bullshit. But that's stuff that people care about. And if that relates to the avatar you're speaking to and what you're trying to sell, it is a hook that you should consider using. We use it more in the proof way. So I just wrapped up my first Facebook campaign of the year. We generated 50,000 leads for $1.25 a piece with significant profit. We're hosting a webinar where I unpack how I ran this. So I don't have to sell them on the webinar. I'm just saying, hey, I did this cool thing. Here's the proof. I generated these leads at this price. There was a significant profit. If you want to do the same thing, I'm unpacking it on this webinar. So it doesn't have to always be like ego in the way that we think. It can also be proof and saying, look, we've done this before. Here's the proof. And that proof will lead to the desire for them to take the next step if they want those same results that you were able to achieve. A lot of the hooks around people giving compliments too could be a status hook. John, I know that, a digital marketer, we made a big pivot in the middle of John and I's time there, where we really went from selling courses to selling certifications. So it was the same course material. People could just take a test, and if they passed, excuse me, they got certified in that particular discipline. And that messaging, that hook really made a big difference. It was like, hey, do you want to go through this course? Or do you want to get certified as, an SEO specialist or whatever it is? That's another way to think about status and like how people associate what they're called and their credibility and how they present themselves to others. That's really what this hook is about. And it's not for everybody, but it's something to consider. This is another way to go about it, still using the same old makeup routine from your 20s. So this kind of creates a problem that you might not even know that you have. And you're like, whoa, am I still like down there doing my makeup like I'm in my 20s? Or, am I with everybody else my age and doing makeup in this way? So this is another example of speaking to status and maybe creating a little bit of a problem that someone didn't know that they had. But of course, same call to action of 5 makeup tips as all of the other boom ads that you've seen, just a completely different hook here and lots of social proof on this one.
Quick
Okay, next
question for
is,
you, Molly, before we
yep.
move on, because I just don't know the answer to this. A bunch of people were curious with the Third Love, I think, ad. They used the term Victoria's Secret in the ad copy. And is it acceptable in all cases or only certain cases or never to use the name of another company or brand in your ad copy?
Yeah, I don't know the exact answer. I think it's more okay when it's in the word of the customer, like you see here. We're in quotations. It was something the customer said. We're not saying, hey, Victoria's Secret sucks, buy our product. Facebook probably wouldn't like that. But I think if you position it more this way, they're more likely to accept it. But I mean, as long as you're not breaking like any sort of trademarks or things like that, you shouldn't have a problem with it.
Cool,
Just you want
thank
to be
you.
nice, of course. Okay, next up is relevance. And this one's pretty simple, but it's just thinking of anything that's going on currently in your target market's life that you could relate to start the conversation and then transition into what you're wanting them to do. This isn't the best ad for many reasons, but the relevance is amazing. And this was an ad that I got in my news feed when I was living in Austin. Looks like rain all weekend long. When I saw that, it caught my attention. I was like, whoa, they know I live in Austin. Let Blazer Tag save the day for all those outdoor birthday parties. We still have spots available. Basically, call us. So there's a lot wrong with this ad, but what's amazing is they knew what their audience was. Austin was experiencing rain, and there were going to be a bunch of birthday parties and kids that needed an indoor activity. Let's be relevant to our audience. Really, really smart there. This was an ad we ran at DM that worked really well. And these were email templates as a lead magnet. So what I started doing is targeting specific email service providers and then saying use MailChimp question mark, use Aweber question mark, use, insert email service provider here, and then telling them to use these emails to get what they were looking to get. But just by adding that email service provider on the beginning, it helped a lot make this ad more relevant to the person that we were showing it to, because they truly felt like it was for them and for their email service provider. And this could even be as simple as relating to the season, right? Hosting friends this summer, try this dinner party box, or, it's hot outside, right? This can be really simple. You're seeing a lot of people use the relevance hook right now because of COVID and because their avatars' lives have changed. So if that's the case for you, I mean, that's another example of the relevance hook. It's not something we use a ton, but sometimes there's just something your entire market is going through, especially if you're a local business, that you can very much speak to get their attention and to make your product something that matters to them, because it's not just there to get their attention, it's also there to say, hey, Austin, it's raining. You, excuse me, might have this problem. Here is the solution. We have the solution. Okay, next up is analogy, and we don't use this one a ton either, but when it is done right, it's very powerful, especially if you have an offer that is something people haven't seen a lot or might be hard to understand. An analogy can be really great to use. So this is obviously overlaid on the creative, which is fine. We can imagine it's below here in the headline or in the newsfeed text, but it's very simple. Airbnb for dogs. And as soon as I saw that, I knew exactly what this service was. There are other hooks that they should and probably are using too, in terms of, why this is a better solution than the other ways you can have your dog cared for. But when I saw Airbnb for dogs, that simple analogy, just 3 words, I immediately knew what it was, and I could start to paint the picture of why this might be something that's interesting. So, an analogy, it's not something, again, that you're going to use a ton, but especially if you have something that's hard to explain or that's a bit newer, use this as a way to get that point across. Okay, number 8 is comparison. This one's similar to analogy, but used definitely more. It's more applicable than the analogy. And it's basically comparing your product or service, your offer, or something that's going on in their life, in terms of a before and after state, or even against a competitor if there's a mainstream competitor. So this here with Sierra Madre, it's mostly in the beginning that they're using the comparison, but this hammock equals best hotel ever. Imagine if you were camping outdoors and you could, and then he goes into a bunch of benefits, but just by having that, this hammock equals best hotel ever, that immediately speaks to me because I'm this avatar. I love to be out in nature, but sometimes I like my perks, I like to sleep in a comfy bed. So he's getting that point across to me so quickly, so easy by opening here with a comparison, then going into benefits. It's almost like you're sleeping in a hotel, but you're outdoors. I know this sounds crazy. Um, and whether you're a hardcore outdoor fanatic or just wanted to take a trip outside with the fresh air. So such a good ad, and he is layering on other hooks here, but a good example of just comparing, this hammock, and it's the same as the best hotel ever. You can also do something more simple like this. So on the left, we have one night out being $59.94. So one night out of drinks compared to 1 week of Blue Apron meals for the same price. You look at this, and they could have done this in the copy too. It's comparing two things, and you immediately are like, oh, well, I should probably be smart and spend that money on food. So not only have they created a problem that you maybe didn't even know you had, but they use that comparison to make their offer look like the offer that you should take, even if you didn't know that it existed before. And Home Chef, here's an example of, if you think steak dinners are out of your price range, think again. So they've got their product on the left with the green sign. That means it's more price friendly. The meat looks better. And then on the right, it's more expensive and it doesn't look as great. Maybe not something that you guys would necessarily do, but just another example of, especially through the creative here, how you might compare yourself. Here they're comparing it to, hey, you can still have a nice steak dinner. It's just a lot cheaper, and you're going to have it at home versus, going out and having the more expensive option. And here, Home Chef is comparing themselves in the fact that they have 100% more choices visually and in written form to their competition, Blue Apron and HelloFresh. So you can compare yourself in that way to an industry leader, and or make a comparison to, like, a lot of times at Digital Marketer, when we were selling $7 offers, we would say, do you want this or a fancy coffee at Starbucks? That comparison can be very helpful for people, if that's a hook that's interesting to you. Okay, next up is logic. And this is really about using stats specifically, or logic statements, to prove your point. And this is especially going to speak to people like John, who think more in this way, where I'm more on the feeling side of things. But I do pay attention to logic hooks. Here on the left, it's just one straw. It's just one disposable laundry jug. It's just one cell phone case. 7.4 billion people want to help protect the beauty of our planet for future generations. Try these simple alternatives, right? And they're showing a side by side of Earth in the 70s and 2066. They're using logic to create this problem. I know I showed you guys this one on the right, but it's not only pain benefit, it's also logic hook. They're using the bad news. Only 20% of laundry jugs get recycled. I mean, that blows my mind. It creates a problem and it further proves our point. Same thing with True Earth. Did you know that over 700 million plastic laundry detergent jugs make their way into landfills and oceans every year in North America? Scary, right? This is, did you know only 15% of employees are engaged at work? That was shocking to me. I mean, as a manager, I thought, no, I didn't know that. Wow. It just, this stat alone immediately created, a loop, an open loop for me. And I needed to decide, is this something that I think I'm gonna solve or not? Be the manager that raises the bar with this app. This is an ad that we ran for a free email training. So we opened with a stat. The average adult receives 147 emails a day. What are you doing to stand out in the inbox? So again, we're creating more of a problem here of competition in the inbox by first leading with a stat that's like, wow, really 147 emails? That's crazy. This is a brand that I used to work with, beachart.com. They turn plastic water bottles into beautiful canvas prints. And I found a quote from USA Today that allowed me to open with a logic statement. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a collection of plastic floating trash halfway between Hawaii and California, has grown to more than 600,000 square miles. So using that logic to create that undesirable before state, and logic can be sprinkled throughout all of your ads if you want, guys. But it also is a good hook to choose to really focus on, like this one: 30 minutes a day, 3.5 hours a week, 15 hours a month, 182 hours a year. Save time when you juice with Organifi. So this is juice powder if you want to make juice, but you don't want to have to go buy all the vegetables and fruits and juice it yourself and drink it. This is just powder that you scoop in. So this is also average day hook, but I love the logic here of adding up all of the time. You're like, 182 hours a year I'm spending on juicing? What the heck? A problem has been created that I now want to solve. Okay, next up is really focusing on controversy and or going against the grain. This definitely catches people's attention. Here's a good one from Yoga Burn. Heavy weightlifting, CrossFit, are they ideal for women? So she's kind of coming out with something that's against the grain a bit. Like, I know a lot of women that do CrossFit. If I did CrossFit and I saw this, I would be like, oh, am I missing something? This is controversial. Like, this is not what I've been told. And then she goes into some education around it that leads to promoting her class, her online class, but she's opening with a bit of controversy, right? Is this type of workout actually ideal for women? This is definitely a controversial way to go about things, saying, I hate, blank, blank, I do. That is so not what we're used to reading and absolutely against the grain. Same thing with another one from Yoga Burn. I adore yoga, but I can't get into great shape with yoga alone. When I saw this, I was like, this page is called Yoga Burn, and you can't get into shape with yoga alone? What the hell is going on here? So she's opening with that controversial that, oh, I didn't expect to read that, especially from this page. It's really eye-catching, guys. It absolutely wants to make you keep reading because it's not what you expected to see. So lots more to say on that one. And also, guys, you find sort of controversy in a lot of our ads. I mean, especially the one that said, "Are you still doing your makeup routine from your 20s?" That one gets a lot of controversial comments and feedback that's like, "How dare you tell me how to do my makeup for your age?" And we're like, "No, that's not what we're saying. It's just the opening line that we're using, right? Like that's not what we are insinuating, especially if you read the rest of the copy, you would see, but it gets people chatting. The social proof increases. Controversy does work in many ways if you can do it in the right way, in a way that feels good and is still true to the people that you're serving. Okay, number 11 is educate. This one works really well across the board. Honestly, I use this one all the time. And it's just about giving value first. It's about creating a problem sometimes through education. And it's truly about giving value, teaching a little bit in your ad copy so that people either want to go opt in for the rest of the information or go read an article. This is what we were talking about yesterday. I can't remember whose stuff we were looking at. Oh, it was Jessica with the baby sleeping stuff. This is the hook type that I was talking about, Jessica, where you could give a few tips in your ad copy, and then I think it was you, and then have them go opt in for more. And at Boom, we do this a lot. So here on the left, we're wanting to go to 5 makeup tips. So 5 simple tips for a fresh look. Less is more as women age. So we give a few of the tips, and then we have them click over. Same concept on the right, but we're opening with a quick makeup tip. Do you use powder-based cosmetics? Question mark. That opening question also gets a lot of people commenting, which is good. And it's not about a personal attribute, so it's not against policy. If you're over 50, any powder-based cosmetics, even eyeshadow, can draw attention to lines and texture. There's a better way. See our 5 makeup tips. So see the rest of the tips. This is really simple. We're just opening with the very first tip, I believe, of the pre-sale article, getting people to obviously have a huge conversation in the comments section here, and then click to read the rest of the tips. We're educating them in the ad copy. This is a great one from Yoga Burn. What's the one thing we naturally do every day which can impact our health, energy, metabolism more than anything else? In a word, sleep. Studies show that when we're getting optimal amounts of quality sleep, it can not only boost immunity and energy, it can also help us burn up to 400 more calories a day. I don't know about you, but that's music to my ears because that's the equivalent to my favorite ice cream sundae. So she's basically educating us around sleep, its actual importance in weight loss, and then, transitioning more into her offer here. And of course, that's to learn more about the ritual to do before sleep. But this is great. You can get standalone value from this ad copy, but it also seamlessly transitions into her offer, which is to learn about the evening ritual that she does. So education, one more here, the tapping solution. Have you heard about the tapping technique? It's scientifically proven technique that works to rewire the brain by sending calming signals to the amygdala, the stress center of the brain, allowing both the body and brain to release limitations from negative experiences. Most people don't realize how big of an impact chronic stress has on their life. So speaking to that undesirable before state, and then moving into a call to action for their app. So they're basically using this as a way to educate people about something that, a lot of folks haven't heard of before. So pure education here, transitioning into a call to action for their app. Okay, moving along, guys. A few more left, then some more tips, and we'll wrap this one up. So number 12 is really about speaking to people's values. We talked about this a good amount in the video with Russ. I know it's part of the avatar process that we're recommending you guys go through, but really figuring out the values of your market and how you can speak to those and resonate with the values of the people that you are showing ads to. And I'm just going to show one quick example of this because Boom does it better than anybody I know. But this ad is new and it's working really well. We design pro-age cosmetics and skincare. Yes, you read that right. Pro-age. We don't believe in all that anti-aging nonsense. They're going directly against the grain here, too. Instead, we design products that celebrate you and where you are in life right now. Our cosmetics and skincare bring out your natural beauty in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and every beautiful age after that. So we are aligning with someone's values. We do it at Smart Marketer all the time, where we say, hey, we're not really like the gurus that you see taking pictures in front of their Lamborghini and with girls in swimsuits. Not necessarily knocking that. That's just not really our vibe. You know, we are here to serve the world unselfishly and profit. We're here to really help people and care a little bit less about the materialistic side of things. Every brand has some sort of value message that, if you don't already know what it is, can absolutely be developed. And that is a hook that a lot of people choose to lead with, especially like, you know, Monica with Red Drop. I mean, the value-based hook is something you should totally focus on, because what you're doing will, yeah, it can speak to people that very much value middle school girls feeling safe and secure and prepared, right? So you are someone that should probably lead with a value hook. Like, it should be one of the first few hooks that you test. If you don't resonate with speaking to values at all, then just leave this one alone. But I do believe all of you guys can develop very similar messaging if it's something that you believe. Okay, number 13 is the call out. And this is specifically relating to the opening of the ad. I really love this for local businesses, but it can work for almost all of us. So here with Sierra Madre, the opening is attention, hikers and campers, right? That very much grabs the attention of the audience. We just want to make sure that we're not calling people out by any personal attributes that have to do with your body, right? But attention, hikers and campers grabs my attention. I'm sure you know how cold it is to be camping outdoors at night. And then he goes into more of a story and a pain benefit situation, but he's absolutely using that call out. This is something that True Earth does really well. They're targeting different areas in Canada. Port Moody, explanation point. If you live there, that catches your attention. Even though True Earth is spending $80,000 a day on Facebook in multiple countries, they know they need to niche down and focus down to scale up. So they know that a great strategy for this is speaking directly to certain regions here. And this is very similar to the advice we were giving Jeff Wise on the call yesterday about maybe one day developing a lead magnet that talks about the water quality of a specific region or a specific state. Because when you do that, you get the opportunity to call people out specifically, which just further makes them feel like that this is for them. Even if it's just Canada, you know, Canada, thanks for helping make Canada-based True Earth Canada's second fastest growing startup. So a call out can really work for everybody. Just make sure it's not on personal attributes. And especially local businesses. You want to make sure that the name of the city is within the first sentence of the copy, because that's going to be one of the most specific identifiers. It's going to get someone to stop and make them feel like that ad is very much for them. Okay, and then last but not least, and we're going to talk about copy length here in a minute because it really doesn't matter, but I want to show you some long ass form copy. And I don't always write copy this long, but I have a friend, Papine, who loves to write really long copy. And it's kind of what his agency is built off of. Like, he is successful because of his ability to write really long copy. And if this resonates with you, I just want to show this to you guys because it very much doesn't look like an ad. And if you feel like you're a good copywriter and you're willing to put the time into it, this really long copy can work really well. So I'm not going to read the entire thing, but discover how passionate runners, so he's already called out his avatar, go from painful blisters to running thousands of miles pain-free. So he's already called out the avatar, already spoken to the before state and the after state. Now he's making himself more relatable and going into storytelling. After running 4 marathons, 2 ultras, 10K training miles, and helping thousands of runners go faster with more comfort, I discovered that the single biggest obstacle they're facing is dealing with blisters, all while pushing their body and mind to the limit. I found that this is the most common scenario for a passionate runner. And then he goes more into a story. Did I bite the right shoes? Why am I having these blisters? And he comes to the fact that many runners overlook the missing part of the puzzle, the right socks. Um, and then he goes into why he created these socks and what they have to do with blisters. But these ads are working so well. This is another one that he wrote for Bill Glazer, who is he's been in the marketing industry for a long time. But if I've learned anything from being in marketing for 30 plus years, it's that multi-step marketing creates outrageous success for any types of business. Having worked with 12,000 businesses, so we have lots of credibility and proof established here. We're definitely starting to hit on a pain point and what they're looking for. And then we're kind of going into what people try to do to solve the pain point, right? Facebook ads, blah, 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 blah. But when they just did this, a brand new plan, the results, here were the results, right? And then we go more into the after state. So it's the same stuff I'm teaching you guys. It's just way more drawn out. And here's another one from Roque, selling those running socks. And you guys can check this out. This one's for hikers. So another great example of how we're taking these socks, we're advertising them to runners. We're taking these socks, we are advertising them to hikers, right? That is the way that we're gonna scale. So if you do like writing, if you like writing stories, if that's a strong suit for you, definitely check out those ads that Pep wrote a little bit deeper and know that there is a place for super freaking long ad copy and storytelling. That's way longer than what I've shown you because we usually don't run ads that long. Not saying that they're not gonna work. Okay, guys, so there are even more hook ideas that I want to add, but this training would get ridiculously long. These are my favorite right now, and this will get you plenty, plenty, plenty far. But this thought process and looking at these hooks and deciding which ones best fit with the specific avatar you're focusing on right now and the specific offer that you're focusing on right now, it's hugely important. It's the most important step of copywriting. It's way more important than you actually writing, right? Obviously, you have to write to create the words, but the hook is so much more important than how good you are as a copywriter by far. So step one, so important, decide on your hooks, which directions you want to go. We choose usually 2 to 4 per avatar when we're building a particular campaign. So step 2 is really simple. And it's about taking these hooks and putting them into a before and after grid. And this is something that Ryan Dice created. I mentioned Ryan to you guys earlier. And this is a great exercise to get you not only to start writing copy, but to really think about this transition from before to after in relation to the hooks that you've chosen. So you see we've got a column on the left with before, and we've got different hooks there. So good versus evil is basically value-based. We've got status, average day, feel, have, what are they gonna have, what are they not gonna have? And then we've got the after state with the same hooks there. And if you will go through and fill this out for the hooks that you've decided you wanna use, it'll make it a lot easier before you start writing. So of course you want to put your avatar in here. So this is an example that Ryan likes to use to teach this grid because it makes it super simple to understand how to use it. But you put the segment in. So let's imagine we have a lawn care business and we're targeting men or fathers. who for some reason are, and we'll get to that in a minute, why might want to hire someone to mow their lawn and to take care of their yard. So you can see very simply how he filled out this chart. In the before state, what did we have? What was undesirable? Well, we had dead grass and weeds, and we felt annoyed, exhausted. Our Saturdays were wasted, on taking care of this yard, right? We're forced to work the land, prisoner in your own castle. In the after state, we have a gorgeous green lawn. We're powerful, well rested. Our Saturday is ours again. We've got the best lawn on the block, and we are the king of the castle, right? Kind of speaking even more so to ego, really, there. But if you'll just fill this out for each of the hooks that you decide on based off of customer segments, this will give you what we call copy chunks to work with as you actually move into writing your ads. Because then you know, okay, let's look at this feeling hook. Well, we know that we need to open by talking about feeling annoyed and exhausted. And then we know we need to transition into talking about feeling powerful and well rested. So this allows us to do that sort of in between research to start to get pen to paper and get some copy chunks going, of words that you can use based off of your hooks to describe that transition from before to after. So again, this gives you copy chunks that you can use. It's not, of course, allowing you to write the entire ad by any means, but it's just giving you a direction to start so that you at least know what you want to write about, which all of us know is the hardest part. And then step 3 is actually writing the copy. And we talked about this in terms of taking the professional copywriter hat off. Please, please do that, guys. I would much rather your ad have typos and grammar mistakes, but look like it was written by a real human than see a bunch of regurgitated direct response ad copy on the page. Like that just simply does not work in 2020. We have to get personal, right? We have to get very native with these. Take inspiration from I think I showed you probably over 100 ads today that you can use as inspiration. 95% of them are very native ad copy. And when you're going to write this copy, I really think about ads in kind of 3 simple parts when we're thinking about it structurally. And it's the open, the transition, and then the close or the call to action, which is really, really simple. But it's basically about understanding no matter how short or long, whether it's Pepine's ad or whether it's this ad here, that it can kind of always be broken into 3 parts, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, or even YouTube, right? And it's that open, it's that hook, it's the opening is the most important part always, right? So opening with that strong hook that's going to catch their attention, want to get a fresh face and youthful glow with only 3 products, then transitioning into the offer being a vehicle that's going to get them to the after state, what they're looking for. Watch this free video to reveal makeup artist Katie's tricks to complete this look. And then they go into the call to action. Click here for more useful tips, and tricks. I tried to make that the same word. And then at the bottom, I always, especially in the news feed, for me, the headlines just reiterate the hooks or simply state what they're going to get. When you're in the news feed text at the top is absolutely the most important part of the copy. Not that the headline at the bottom is not important too, but the news feed text is absolutely the most important. And especially on Instagram, that newsfeed text becomes the text that's underneath the creative on Instagram. So that top part is the most important. Usually with the headline, I'm just reiterating the hook or reiterating kind of what I'm offering. But I'm always thinking about it in these 3 steps. Like, is my opening strong? Whether it's a few words or a few paragraphs, it really doesn't matter. do I have a transition? A lot of people are like, opening, pain, 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 and then they go right into benefit, buy this. And there's not really a transition there. That's important, or people will get to the middle and they'll be like, oh, I just immediately went into being sold to, right? That didn't feel good. I'm going to keep scrolling. So, really having this transition part. And then, of course, at the very, very end, having a simple close and call to action to tell them what to do next, tell them what to do to achieve that end benefit that they are looking for. And then just a few other things that you guys should know. As I said, the length is not as important as you think. I do tend to go a little bit longer. Like, you never really see me using ad copy that's less than 4 or 5 sentences. Sometimes I will. I just feel like to really catch someone's attention and grab them, it usually takes a little bit more copy, but I don't get caught up on how short is this? How long is this? This needs to be this certain length. Don't stress out about that, right? What matters is the hook and if it actually resonates with that person. And we actually try to have longer and shorter copy in each ad set, just so that we know that the people that like to read in that market are being served and the people that don't are also being served. A lot of you are asking if we use emojis or formatting in our ad copy. That's totally up to you, especially if it feels like it's a part of your brand voice. Feel free to do it, but just don't do it to the extent that it's going to make it hard to read. And those are some services you can use to copy and paste the emojis or to add the formatting. I always have to reiterate this. Please, please take off your professional copywriter hat. A lot of the submissions that I've seen so far from the ad copy standpoint, they just sound like ads. It sounds like, you went through a professional copywriting training and now we're writing this very rigid, very direct dagger ad copy. And there's a place and time for that. More so on your landing page, definitely not on a social platform like Facebook or Instagram. And you absolutely do not have to be a good copywriter. I do not believe that I am a great copywriter by any means. It's not one of my strong suits, but I know how to talk to people. I know how to figure out what people care about. And, I'm okay at general communication with other humans, right? That's really all this takes. All of you guys are a good enough copywriter to get this to work. Absolutely. And it's actually usually better if you don't have a lot of professional copywriting experience, because it's easier for you to get more into that native voice. As always, be very careful with Facebook policy and calling out any personal attributes. If you have concern around that or you want more clarification in that direction, go to the bonus area of the members area. There's a training in there about how to keep your Facebook account safe, what to do if your account is shut down, and just Facebook policy and how to be careful and play nicely with Facebook. And something else that's really important when you are writing your ad copy is to make sure they aren't too paragraph heavy. You want them to be very easy on the eye to read, especially for people that like to skim. So let me show you an example here. So this is when Russ went through Train My Traffic Person. This was his homework for the ad copy module. And I'll just show you this here in a minute. We'll link to this doc in the members area too. But something that Russ always likes to teach with writing is to imagine that you turn this document to the left, right? And this part here on the side was actually at the top, right? Like you just moved all of this to the left, right? You flip this to the left. And then imagine yourself as a person on a bike riding through all of these peaks and valleys. And you want more peaks and valleys than not, right? You want the biker to hit the ground. You want the biker to go all the way back up. You want the biker to come back down. It's a really silly analogy, you guys, but it very much helps with spacing, because if we don't do this, then this looks like this. And it's really hard to read, right? Which one are you more likely to read, right? This one, the biker's spending a lot of time up at the top and then he goes down. So instead, we're going to space these out and we're going to make this easier for people to read. And especially people that like to skim. So keep that in mind, because that's a mistake people make. They write beautiful copy and then no one reads it because it's just a big chunk of text. So really important to keep in mind. But out of all of this, guys, out of these 3 steps, as I said earlier, the most important part is and will always be these hooks. So what are the reasons, the many reasons that someone would actually take you up on this offer? And we gave you tons of ideas, but that is where I spend most of my time here. Once the hooks are established, after you do the before and after grid, if you're treating this like a personal post or something casual you would write, it actually comes out pretty easy because you've done the homework. You understand this person. You know the hook and sort of the format that you want to use. You know the before and after. You have these copy chunks. Now you just need to lay it out in a way that makes sense. But the most important step is identifying those hooks. And here are some other places to study copy. This is something that I'm constantly studying. I mean, copywriting is one of the most important aspects of being a marketer and a business person. So you can never learn enough about copy. Donald Miller, he has Story Brand. Roy H. Williams has a trilogy of books called The Wizard of Ads. And I already mentioned to you guys Alex Catoni. She's at Copy Posse on Instagram. And I also gave you guys that really cool tool lead magnet that that she has. She has a few other free offers that we can get to you guys in the group too, a few other free resources that I just didn't have time to put in here that she's more than happy for you guys to use. And then of course we also have the bonus training with her that goes more into the like tactical side of writing ad copy that I'm not as strong with. And as always, guys, where we get the most inspiration for this is out in the wild, you know, in our news feeds, in our Instagram news feeds. I get lots of copywriting ideas from ads that I see in person, billboards, magazines, even TV commercials, YouTube. And then you always have Facebook ads library, which you can Google if you don't know what that is. You can type in any Facebook page and see all the active ads that they're running if you're looking for inspiration. All right, y'all, so for Thursday's critique call, and if you don't have this done by Thursday, totally fine to turn in future weeks. The process here, when we're creating a campaign, and we've picked one avatar that we're going to focus on for now so we can go deep and really make sure this is done the right way. The best way to do this is to pick 2 to 4 hooks that are your favorite, that you feel work best for what you're doing, and then write 1 to 2 copy variations for each. So in the end, this gives you between 2 and 8 different ad copy variations that we can test in this structure that we're teaching you guys to build campaigns within. So 2 to 4 hooks, 1 to 2 copy variations for each. And this might be what the document looks like that you turn in. Russ really loves writing longer copy. So his might be a little bit longer than yours. But he's sending ads to a webinar. That's the offer that he was testing at this time. He's got the status hook. I already read this one to you guys. You saw this. So he laid that out here. Ignore these images for right now. He's got the logic hook. This one's much shorter too. It's crazy. Every profitable information product business has a similar structure, from Tony to Marie to Dave to Ryan. I'll be revealing that here. He did average day copy. And again, you guys will get this document. Facepalm, I just talked to the most frustrated person on the planet. Jamie has everything gurus need, blah, 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 but it's adding up to a big old nothing burger for Jamie. Russ is ridiculous. But basically speaking to the average day of if you're trying to get a business or marketing to work and you're doing everything the gurus say, but it's still not working, Russ is resonating on that level. And then he has his story, which is actually pretty emotional, and makes me tear up a little bit. It's about his daughter, which is pretty cool. But this will be in the members area, and we'll go over these more and lots of other ads too. But just this was Russ turning in his homework, just not the images. This is just a good example of what you might turn in when you're looking for your copy to be critiqued. And if you want to throw creative ideas in there, great, but just know that we've got a lot to talk about on that next week too. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. This is such a fun process. I know that it can feel a little bit frustrating, especially if you're not naturally, like if writing doesn't come natural to you. But when you feel that that's happening, just go back to that place of, I'm just writing a post to friends or a message to a friend. That will also allow you to relax a little bit, to not tense up. And that will tell your body that you're not doing something that's difficult, which also helps. So cool. Hopefully this has been helpful to you guys. John, I don't know if you've got anything that you want to wrap this up with, but I know we went super late. So thank you guys for being here. Just we added more hooks and things that we wanted to cover. So this one turned into a pretty meaty module, but hopefully really helpful for you guys.
Uh, One question for you, Molly, and then I'm good to wrap it up. Do you want to share this example from Russ with students?
Yeah, let's definitely do that. I'll send
Okay.
you this document,
I actually have
John.
it already. We've done it in the past. I
Oh,
just wanted to confirm that we were going to share it before I
yeah,
stuck
Russ
Russ's
said
story in there. But
no problem. He's cool with us sharing it. So just please don't directly copy Russ's, uh, that goes without saying, I hope.
if you copy Russ's stuff, people are going to know it's fake because nobody, literally no other human being that exists, talks the way Russ Henberry does. So it's going to be very
Yeah.
obvious.
Yep. But hey, he used the hooks from the training and they worked for him. So more on that to come in terms of how these ads did. But yeah, he picked his favorite hooks and did his homework and has gone right along with us. So this is just a good example of what like homework might look like, John.
Yep, that's awesome. So yeah, we'll definitely include that in there. And I think we're all good otherwise, Molly.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, John. Thanks everybody for being on. Thanks everybody watching the replay. And we'll get caught up on the overflow questions here in the next few days. And I will see you on what day is it? Thursday. I'll see you guys on Thursday's Q&A call. Bye, y'all.